Well, this is chapter 20. And this chapter is on delivery. Now, I will tell you this. This is a rather difficult thing for me to do, to demonstrate some of the things I might normally get up and walk around and demonstrate that can't be done right now, but I will talk about them and talked about delivery, different modes of delivery. There's memorizing speech you might do. You might do a manuscript speech. You might do an impromptu speech. That's a speech with no preparation. No preparation. You walk up, the person tells you what you're going to talk about, and you speak. Something we normally do when we have in-class meetings. Extemporaneous speeches are one where you've prepared notes and you're speaking from those notes in an extemporaneous way where you can say things off the cuff. With manuscript speeches, you want to make sure that you practice them out loud to the point that you have them down pat so that you can still maintain eye contact with the audience. I do not recommend memorizing a speech. On the great speech presentation, I've had a few students who did that, tried to. One or two have passed. One or two have actually gotten the job done and did a fairly good job on it. But the vast majority, and I mean the overwhelming vast majority, have not done well on that because they've forgotten where they were. Some have stopped, some have come back with notes later and tried it again. I don't recommend that. Some components of delivery, there's verbal delivery, there's your pronunciation, we do mispronounce words. If you mispronounce a word, especially when it looks like maybe you didn't know how to pronounce it, that can damage your credibility, so be careful on that. Articulation is where we take words and we change the way they're pronounced. The word you all becomes in the South y'all. All right becomes ite. And do you know what I'm saying becomes know I'm saying. There's volume, how loud or how softly you speak. You can raise your voice to get attention. You can also lower your voice to get attention. Pitch is how high or low your voice sounds on the musical scale. There's rhythm, sort of a pattern of movement or cadence to your voice. There's the rate at which you speak, and I do know that I sometimes speak a little too quickly. Sorry if you've had to back up, but I can get going. We tend to speak a little more quickly, by the way, when we're passionate about a topic. That can become problematic, though. The tone just refers to the variable level of your voice. Vocalized pauses, you have to be careful about you know, well, you know, like. A lot of these other things are just vocalized pauses that fill in. And it's not necessarily a problem that you do that. It's a problem if you do that to the point that it becomes very noticeable or even noticeable at all. It's a very moderate amount, should be very small amount of filler words should be used. Talk about physical delivery. It's posture, walk up and stand straight. Don't lock your legs though. The facial expressions are very important. You want to make sure your facial expressions match the topic that you're talking about. The young lady go up to talk about, she was going to speak in favor of the death penalty. And as she walked up, she looked over to the right and some of her friends smiled at her. So now she's smiling, and she's smiling and talking about the fact that she's in favor of the death penalty. It was a little eerie and looked a little weird. So you've got to be careful about that. Eye contact, try to spread your eye contact around the room. It's very difficult for me because I try to make eye contact on this laptop. I want to look myself in the eyes, but then I'm not looking at the camera, so then I'm not looking you in the eyes. So that's problematic. Gestures. If you take your hands out of your pocket, take them out from behind your back, don't hold them in front of you, you will gesture naturally and normally. It's hard for me not to, very difficult. You'll notice that you will have noticed probably already that because I'm not gesturing with my hands because we're on TV, people are trained on TV not to do that. What happens is I will sometimes gesture with my head. If you have your hands down on your back, you may do shoulder gestures. You might do elbow gestures. Just let go of your hands, and your hands will take care of themselves. Some functions of physical delivery: we can repeat certain things. Nod. We can say number one. It repeats what we said. You can accent. We might, pound on the lectern or something. We can compliment it. We might smile when we're saying something interesting or that we're happy about. We can substitute. Instead of saying yes or no, we can nod yes or no. And of course, nonverbal behavior also works as a regulation. It can control the flow of communication. if we're in a group of people and we think someone is about to speak and we're not done speaking yet, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll speed up a little bit so that then we're not done yet, and then we'll make sure that we don't have pauses between the words, because after all, if I have a pause between this word and that word, someone may jump in. That's problematic. Some tips for good delivery. One, practice your delivery. Practice out loud. Practice out loud. You need to discover your own speaking rhythm along the way. And I'll be honest with you, some of the speeches I've heard so far, I'm very impressed. Very talented speakers. It's a good idea to put delivery cues in your outline. When I first started doing public speaking, I couldn't let go of the lectern. It was a long time. Finally, I've actually put notes in my a note at the top of my notes that said, let go of the lectern. And I let go of the lectern and I stepped back, and from that point in time, I was able to move and also to gesture as well. That is chapter 20, and that is on delivery.